Good morning to welcome to day 2 of Ministravaganza. I'm the first streamer of the day for day 2. This is kind of like opening ceremony redo, electric boogaloo. That's it. This is Ministravaganza day 2. We're all rested up and ready to go. Hopefully yesterday was awesome. I thought it was awesome. We showed a lot of cool stuff, and today there's going to be more. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the new Rivals panel pack for Marvel Crisis Protocol. We're going to be painting this up. We're going to be talking about some of the design and some of the ideas that happened. This actually wasn't the first iteration, so maybe we'll talk about that. I don't know. It depends on what chat says. So we're going to crack the box. We're going to get to painting. We're going to show off the cards. We're super excited about these cards. They're beautiful, and seeing the factory actually be able to make these and stuff like that was super exciting. And getting these in our hands, it was just they're just so neat to see. So let's kick it over to Minicam. Let's just get it all going. The voice, I have the weirding. There's something going on. I have echoes.
Cam is picking up sound.
Shut that camera off. Oh, the cards are in the. Push those out. They were in the shot. Sneaky. They were sneaky. So I started out. I got the little terrain bit set up. Built. I went ahead and primed it. I put a layer of I put some washes on there just because I didn't want you to have to watch the wash. Very easy. We have our Spider-Man leaping to and fro, dodging some awesome blasts from our Doc Ock, who is menacingly up on his hind. I'm going to call these hind tentacles. He's about ready to throw a little piece of I-beam, which is a really fun narrative. There's another I-beam here that's been thrown. This pylon's broken, and of course Spider-Man's quick and nimble as he is, webbed it up and caught the I-beam, caught this whole thing from falling over with his webbing as he's dodging to show how nimbly he really is. So we got a bunch of paints out. Let's start with a couple washes on the characters. And while we do that, we're going to chat. So what do you want to know about the Rivals panel? This was a very fun project to work on. And this wasn't the first iteration, actually. The first version I drew was actually more of a, how do I say it, like an inside of a warehouse and a back alley. But we really wanted to push it, so we tried a few other iterations. And we ended up on this building being constructed, some sort of Oscorp facility that's being constructed. So this is like in progress. It's very high up, like you see the level 63, which is a nod to Doc Ock's year he first appeared. And we really liked this idea, and it was a fun storytelling device and way to create something new and different for in the world of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So that's kind of like where we kind of started. Were these the first set of characters we decided on? Yes. This was kind of the very first. That doesn't mean we haven't talked about others or, stuff like that. There's so many different rivalries that you can explore, right? In the Marvel universe, which is what makes it fun and unique. Captain America and Red Skull come to mind, Wolverine and Sabretooth. There's so many iconic rivalries, two characters that just have a long history together. And these rival panels kind of give us an opportunity to explore those and do something new and unique for the miniatures. Especially something like Doc Ock, right? We knew we wanted a more dynamic Dr. Octopus, and becoming more and more confident in the hard plastic design process sort of allowed us to explore this version, right? At first, when we first started the whole endeavor, we weren't sure on how far we could push characters up in the air, how the plastic, so, you know, we took it easy at first and then we slowly put the foot down on the gas, right? So through exploring characters like Doctor Strange, and then, you know, you had Storm, and learning the lessons from those and being able to apply them later, that gave us the confidence we needed to go ahead and explore our new version of Doc Ock. So I'm just using a yellow wash. I just mixed up a yellow wash. I'm going to apply this yellow wash on all the yellow bits of one Mr. Dr. Octopus, Otto Octavius. And actually I'm going to do the same thing on our Spider-Man here. I'm going to apply a yellow. And this will give me a base to work from to build up my reds. We've done Spider-Man lots of times. If you caught us before our global pandemic, we did several How to Paint Spider-Man in 45 minutes classes at a few conventions, which is always a good time. I take you through and we paint Spider-Man up very, very quickly. And I want to do sort of the same thing on this, but I've been playing with some ideas and been playing with some techniques. Like I said, everything is iterative. You iterate and you grow and you learn new things, and you ask questions and you change and you try and you fail sometimes. And, you know, failing is just part of art and, you know, life. So you try it out, and failing's not a bad thing. Like, I don't like that word it's not a negative connotation to me. It's a very positive, very, very positive thing. It's just a lesson. I'm going to lean down so I can see better. So I'm just trying out this new version of my fast Spider-Man recipe by applying a yellow before the red. I think this will give me a poppier, zingier Peter Parker. Oh, Zazzy Parker. That's what I'm calling it now. Not to be confused with Zazzy Beats. That's a different person altogether. So what we're going to do is use this as a base for the red. What else we got? All right, I'm going to read too. What do we got here? Her friends call her Liv. I love that movie. Doc Ock is Spider-Verse. Are there any considerations to doing resculpts of characters and alternate costumes found in other pieces of media? We are a comic-centric design house. We draw from comics primarily, but, you know, we do get to explore things sometimes. I think we've talked about it before, like the Black Widow Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a unique design to Atomic Mass Games. So you never know what we might have up our sleeves. You just never know what we have up our sleeves. And trust me, we got, I guess the joke here is, and we got big sleeves. Big poofy wizard sleeves? Something like that. Alright, so that's a good start to those. I got 2 hours. Can I finish this in 2 hours? That's the real question today. I said primarily, that doesn't mean exclusively. Those are two different words. Quailstrarian. Those are two different words. Primarily and exclusively are two different words. So I use these makeup brushes. I love these big soft makeup brushes. I got Tony and Kevin coming in here. I feel like I did something terrible now.
No, you're doing great.
Release the but can you show us the bases of the miniatures? Sure. Like this is the, let me see here. I can't. I don't have a live camera. There you go. There's a Doc Ock is on this Oscorp metal circle. It was awesome. I drew a very rough sketch of this and kind of the idea, and Evan came in, engineer and sculptor Evan King came in and just sculpted this and and added so much to it. He added the just so much life and such to this piece and just really brought to life and designed the floor. I didn't actually design the floor. I just said well, it's a platform and there's some rebar. He came in and designed the floor. So we got the Oscorp Industries and then Spider-Man on a panel. So this is you can see there's a solid shaped panel here. And then this circle fits in there to fill it out. What are we doing? Mic is really low now. Sound has committed Sudoku. It's morning time, kids. It's too early. The computers aren't awake yet. Will there be extra base inserts so we can use the terrain in game? And we can take a look here. There is not extra bases for this. You can use this in the game still. You don't have to put the bases in there, but there's not extra bases. But this was just such a fun, I love this idea, and I look forward to maybe exploring more of these. It was such a fun project and provided a unique opportunity for us to, like I said, just kind of create and explore the characters and what they mean to us and a different and unique hobby experience. There is no defined size on this. You can make it whatever you want. Talk with your opponent and just agree to it. So I'm doing a cool gray or warm gray dry brush. And as you can see, my wash was a mess. And I did an airbrush. I did the zenithal, but I came in and I kind of flick the trigger and it spats. And you can see the little spats. A lot of times on terrain, I'll let the airbrush purposely spit and sputter and throw little dots all over the place because it gives sort of that imperfection and roughness to terrain to make it feel more realistic and gritty. With a scene in mind, could we see other models, what's it, recast model? I don't know what recast means. I don't think that's the appropriate term. I don't have any of those miniatures with me right now, so sorry. Who would my dream rivalry set be? Oh, man. I mean, maybe I don't know. That's tough. I don't like picking favorites. I'm not a person that picks favorites. I like to judge things for what they are and not against other things. That's so unhuman of me. I must be a robot. I like Thanos because he's got dedication and grit. And then I like, Squirrel Girl because she's interesting and fun and explores what it means to be a comic book. Or Gwenpool, stuff like that. So top 3 is still picking favorites, Omega. right, I'm adding white, and I'm just barely touching the terrain. When dry brushing, I like to make sure like less is more. Like you should barely see the first coat, and then you just build into it slowly and slowly. Go back over where you went. Make a mess. I know, Terry. Yeah, and those brushes. Yeah, makeup brushes are great. I love makeup brushes for big projects like this. Painting your apartment buildings, your Christ Protocol apartment buildings. Your daily bugle stands, and whatnot. Like, makeup brushes are great. They're nice and cheap. They take they take the beating from dry brushing, and then you don't feel so bad when they get just demolished. I'm just going to bring this up to about where I want it. And that's just up to you, right? It's your level. Just add a little more white. Or will we always get the characters first? I don't know what that means, the characters first. I am not playing on stream this weekend. There's an awesome game between Josh and Pagani, and they probably got some surprises for that. I mean, they better have surprises because I painted them for them. Oh, would there be rival sets before regular versions? No, that's not what a rivals panel would be for. The idea of these is to revisit characters, not introduce new characters. These are to provide an option. These are not to provide, vital aspects to gameplay or anything. These are options. These are neat, fun, artistic explorations of the characters. That is the goal of the Rivals packs. All right, that feels pretty good. What do you think, Kevin?
I'm a fan.
Should we highlight? What?
I'm a big fan.
Should we highlight it one more time? I feel like maybe one more. I'm gonna go one more time. I'm doing it one more time. More white. Just getting all that paint off. No, Nivy the coconut, that's not what you would do. We would not put a character in a rival panel that does not exist somewhere else. They're not new content.
You lift it to change this angle?
What? What?
You're screeching when you go.
Oh, no one likes that? DJ Dallas, thank you very much. I just got wiki wild. See, that feels better, I think. Do you ever paint the webbing in a non-standard color like red or neon? I've never painted the neon in a non-standard color. That's a good... You should do that. I'm in. This Tech Lee 77. Oh, I know who that is. There is no size indicated on the bottom. Old chalkboard sounds. Yeah, it does sound like old. I think that's why Kevin got mad at me. He's like, stop, dude. Stop. All right. We dry brushed. We're going to throw some color on there. But first, let's take a look. Which card do you want to see first? Do you want to see a tactic card with alternate art or one of the foil cards? You got to choose right now. Choose. What will you choose? I feel like Schick stole my paintbrushes from last night because these are not my brushes. This is a travesty. That's 100% not my brush. Just the worst. Foil card, foil card, foil card, foil card. Done. All right, let's see these foil cards. Let's see. There's the Doc Ock foil card. Am I on screen? There we go. Down just a little bit. There we go. All right. So, yeah, it's hard to say we'll ever see certain things. I agree. You never know. Like I said, we got a lot of secrets up our sleeves, and we got big baggy wizard sleeves. Dr. Otto Octavius. I love this design that graphic design came up with behind him. You can see it's very similar to the promo cards of, say, Captain America and Red Skull we did. We got some new art. And we got this beautiful foil, which is just gorgeous. I'm hoping it's coming across on the screen because in real life it's very cool looking. The character and the stats and the stat bars are the foil part, and the rest is matte to make it really stand out and pop. So these are super, super cool cards. I'll go ahead and show the Spider-Man 2. So we got Spider-Man. Once again, that cool graphic behind. And just lovely rainbow. This takes me back to the 90s. Like that might have been like the whole like thing here. I was just like, can we get foil holographic gatefold embossed cards? And then it's like, well, that's probably a little too far. I was like, okay, well, what about holographic cards? Let's get holographic cards. Nothing says 90s comic collector like a holographic card. All right. We'll show the tactic cards here in a minute. I'm going to take some warm browns. Yeah, I agree. I can't quite. Is that an A or is that an I or an L? I'm going to say it's an L. Alk Usanagi. I agree. Holographic cards win. As soon as we figure out the technology. So I'm just going to water down some of this warm brown. I'm going to very lightly. Super thin. Paint it around dirt piles. Fun fact, this is basically how I paint my MCP city street bases as well. I wanted that construction, concrete floor. You got the steel. I wanted it dirty, right? Because they haven't cleaned up. The offices haven't been put in yet, obviously. They're still constructing. They're on level 63. This is way up in the sky. That's what I love about this. I'm going to set this up on my bookshelf once it's all painted up. And I'm going to have this awesome little scene of Spider-Man and Ock facing off high above the city skyline. Battling it out for the fate of the city. And what this brown does is it makes it dingy, but also provides some warm counter to the cool grays and stuff like that. I'm just kind of making it up. If you want spots, you super water it down. You do a dot and you touch the center of the dot with a dry brush. It kind of pulls the paint out in the middle and leaves a little bathtub ring. That makes like nice little stain dots. Sorry, I'm doing stuff. I'm not looking at chat. Oh, Big Bad Andy, I think we pretty much said at the beginning when we announced it that these were the same stats as the core box characters. So it shouldn't be a surprise. Oh, that's a lot. Wipe it away, wipe it away. Too much. Dirt piles up in corners. Dirt piles up in crevices. Think about where the dust is on the floor of your house. Saving Asher, that is a fantastic idea. I am going to follow suit. I am inspired by your notion, and I think that is a great idea. I'm going to put some pigeons from the apartment building set on top of the, like right here along this little I-beam, right? And they're just like looking down like, whoa. Maybe we should fly away and eat some popcorn off the floor. No, man, Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus is fighting. I'm staying here watching this. I'm in. I love that idea. When I play for funsies, what affiliations do I play? I'm a mess when it comes to playing games. I'm very narrative. When we were first playing the game in public areas, I definitely just played Team Science, what I called Team Science, and it was anyone who was even remotely science related. I wasn't even playing affiliation. It was just like Team Science, Tony Stark, Shuri, Ultron. That's what I was about. But things like X-Force, I love X-Force, and I love the Inhumans. And Inhumans just got Kamala Khan, as y'all saw yesterday, if you were watching yesterday. And really, really enjoyed playing her. But I'm more of a whims of the night person. I show up and I'll just put together random nonsense and play. On these pylons, streak down, and you can get that like kind of water effect. Like water is pulled up and started rusting these exposed rebars, and they're running down the pylons a bit. Maybe do it over here. That's too much. Wipe it away. Wipe it away. Start over. I don't want too much rock in there. That was just busted out, so we don't want a lot of dust in there. And grime. Duplicates for all. I love alternate costumes. I was going through my collection the other night. Sometime I should take a picture of it. I was going through my collection the other night and like realizing how many like 2s and 3s of things I've painted. And I showed about that Spider-Man, and Kevin, if you have time, we go grab that Spider-Man
Yeah, I can do that one.
that we did yesterday, and then we can show people what we did with our rival Spider-Man.
Sure.
We can provide some inspiration for rival Spider-Man. Maybe I'll let Chat pick the costume. No, Chat. Should I let Chat pick the costume?
I think you don't have a choice.
That sounds dangerous. Sounds dangerous. He's not primed yet. Oh, this little rubble. We want to water this down a whole lot. Give some much needed warmth to this pile of rubble. Are there additional girders and barrels that come with this, right? Are those going to be added to Diorama? Yes, there are additional. There's a pile of 3. Man, I worked on this so long ago. 3 girders and 3 barrels. Oh, thank you. And 3 barrels. Let's take it. Maybe it's 2 barrels. 2 barrels and 3 girders. They'll be added, later to the diorama. I just didn't glue them on. I wanted to paint them separate and then play with the composition. So that's the only reason they're not on there. So, yeah, last time I let Chat pick, I ended up with Hawaiian shirt on Lizard. And that was a lot. Sorry, I needed a swaller. So Spider-Man from the Rivals. If you joined yesterday, we did Tactical Rocks 101, and we explored like what you can do with different bases. This is a regular MCP base. This is, of course, the Rival Spider-Man. I took this I-beam, keeping with the theme here, and put it on the city street. So he's dodging a thrown I-beam. I'm going to paint this up in an alternate costume. This is probably not going to be the red and blue. Gwen Tacey's first amazing name. Makes you want to pick up a spare Corset Spider-Man, some green stuff, and do my best effort for a Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk's amazing. And if anybody does Spider-Punk, please, you should share that, hashtag painting protocol. So yeah, I got this dodgy Spider-Man up on a throne I-beam instead of dodging the arm laser, and put him on a regular MCP base. So I'll probably, I'm all about having multiple characters. I mean, I've been wargaming for a long time, and that's what I'm all about. So having multiples and playing in theme is what I'm all about. Like I have 2 Wolverines, right? One is regular Wolverine. Actually, I'm working on a third one as we speak. So I have brown and yellow, I have black and white, and I have yellow gold. And it's all about like what I play with at the end of the day, like to make it thematic. So I'm going to do this up sometime. Tactical Rocks, they're going to go up on YouTube soon. Next few days. So you can watch that. It was a really good, fun time. I thought I did 4 tactical rocks in an hour, or tactical bases, and man, I did not think I was going to finish, but we did. Kevin was looking at me like, dude, you got to finish. I was like, I'm trying. I'm doing my best. So we're going to see how this works. I'm going to mix I got some red ink over here, a little red ink. And I just wiped that on my glove, which will just run instead of stick like it was my thumb. And we're going to glaze this red ink over that yellow. Maybe do a little blend, just to let some of that yellow shine through on the highlight. And of course, yellow under red makes orange, which makes a lovely highlight for our Spider-Man. I get asked a lot how I do the webbing on Spider-Man. And personally, I'm a big fan of the blue wash. Blue is a very natural and wonderful shade to reds. So if you do a blue wash, very controlled, so you're not just, don't just come in all haphazard and slapdashery. Come in with purpose and intent, and place the blue wash where you want it, down in the down inside the lines. I think it makes for a very nice, dynamic, and natural line work, and it's very easy to do instead of pinning it in with a brush, each individual line. You kind of do a very thin blue wash, very targeted, and it can get on the red, and it doesn't, all it does is shade it slightly. And you can build it up. So very easy. And this red, so I like this recipe already. I like this recipe way more. There's no wrong way to art. So whatever works for you, if you want to go through and blackline each one, that's great. I love when I see that. For me, I try to find the easy way. I'm a lazy painter. Says a guy who spent his vacation a couple weeks ago literally just painting. Oh, Daniel Trainor Art. Daniel Trainor Art. Luke Cage Space Base was tight. Thank you. I'm going to add him to my Space Force, to my galactic villains to fight Schick's galactic heroes that we built in May. If you missed out on that, you missed out a bunch. That was a ton of fun. Frank Castle stole Star-Lord's coat. Star-Lord had the Infinity Gauntlet. It was just madness. Kevin, you do a lot of painting. How did you approach Spider-Man's lines? Did you pin them all in or just do washes?
I started with a base red, and then I treated the whole area as a gradient, and then I highlighted up from there. Specifically, like spot by spot.
Nice. So many ways to go about it. I have a saying I like to say in reference to that philosophy, but it's probably copyrighted, so I don't say it on streams. I mean, I know it is copyrighted. Right, I'm going to let that dry, and we're just going to keep building that up. Now, the opposite way, with the rival Spider-Man, is it possible to kit bash with Doc's tentacles to make him iron-inspired? The tentacles go straight into the back, so you'd have to make a backpack, but with kit bashing, everything is possible. There's the only limit is your imagination. And you should believe in the me that believes in you. I believe you can do it. So I'm going to take the exact same brown we used for the dirt, and I'm going to shade our yellow wash on Doc Ock. I'm just going to pick the natural places the zenithal told me was shaded. And I'm going to just re-emphasize those with this brown color. Brown makes a great shade to yellow. It's also quick and easy to accomplish. Don't gotta do anything super fancy. Just pick where you want the shadow and put it in there. All you're doing is just reinforcing those tones. Just that whole underside of that boot. And these were actually sculpted by Dave Kidd, who sculpted the core box Spider-Man. Well, he sculpted the entire core box. Was Dave. And he was so excited when I sent him the concepts for these. And I was like, what do you think? Are you in? And he's like, I am in. He's like, let's do this. I was like, all right, let's do this. I'm in. So it's always fun for artists to be able to go back and, like I said, take lessons you learn from the past and apply them, right? The engineers, Kevin does engineering for us, so he can attest to this. You work on one project and you're like, how am I going to do this? And then the next project comes along and you took all that lessons from that first project and you're like, oh, I can totally do this and I can go better. I mean, I hope that's how Kevin works.
Well, that's definitely how it works.
Definitely. Totally. I'm totally always getting better, sir. Are there times, Eagles A, are there times when you'll leave a shadowed area of the primer black? Yes, absolutely. If I'm painting for a studio miniature, which I don't do a lot of anymore, or I'm painting for competition, or I'm painting for display, I typically don't. But when I'm painting for gaming, which this is going to be, I'm going to put this Doc Ock on the table and play games with him. I will totally leave some areas black. I also have a very, very strict rule of if my brush can't reach it, you can't see it. I don't have to paint every little thing. I just don't feel compelled to. Also for gaming, I will totally leave if a mold line is too hard to get to or I miss it. I don't fret about it. It's for gaming. I'm trying to make it cool and poppy for the table. You know, I can't overthink it. Now, like I said, though, if I was painting for a competition, like, say, The Worthy, you thought we forgot about it. We didn't. For The Worthy, yeah, I paint every little bit, and I remove every little mold line, and I get very, very intense and specific about the paint and the construction. And when I say the construction, like, I grabbed the wrong green. I don't really want this green, but I can make it work. When I say construction, I mean, I've been asked a lot, what does it take to become a studio painter? And the best studio painters are the best hobbyists, right? You got to be a hobbyist to be a studio painter. You got to build great miniatures. And I totally missed a yellow spot on a suit. We'll go back and take care of that later. Like, to be a great studio painter, you got to be a great hobbyist. You got to build the miniature just to an impeccable level. So the very first thing I like teaching studio painters is to get in and learn how to remove every single mold line, fill every single gap, fix things, you know, because things break. You know, that's just the natural state of the universe. Entropy is a thing. Not to get too philosophical. My good friend Entropy. Sounds like a show we could make on TV. Alright, just getting that green wash. This is some stuff I mixed up. It doesn't really matter. Every paint brand has its pros and cons. So it's kind of find what you like and work with it. Green. We're going to let that dry. All right, what should we do next? Let's darken up our staining. We're going to add some burnt umber into our warm browns. And we're going to start darkening up some of those dirty areas. Just to create more contrast. Yeah, you can, there's no size on the bottom of this, but you can just agree with your opponent on what size you want it to be. I mean, if you want to play with the cars a size 1, as long as you and your opponent agree to it, I don't care. Not in tournaments, obviously. Or organized play, I mean. Let's pull that back. A little shadow, especially with these being so light, I want that dark shadow behind to push it forward. It'll just visually push those rocks forward more. Come in behind, blend that out, make it messy. Come in behind, blend that out, make it messy. I'll make those little rocks pop up and be more visually interesting. Oh, we haven't showed a tactic card. How are we doing on time? Only 1 hour? Whoa. Maybe we should show an alt art tactic card real quick. I know it's what chat wants. My beautiful art only goes so far. Push it behind, blend it out. It's always weird when you try to catch up to stream. Let's turn this around a little bit. Get that dark up on the back side of that little mound of stuff. Did they say they wanted to see a team tactic card? I haven't looked up in a second. Scrape? Everybody's tired of scraping? Sorry. What? Oh, Eagles. I love this question. All right. I'm going to get to that question. I want to show a card, and then we're going to get to the question of advice for prepping for your first competition piece. All right. Which card should we show? I'm going to show this one. So we got Blind Obsession. This is just Blind Obsession with some new art. I love this piece. Otto Octavius just capturing Peter Parker, got him in his clutches, and he looks super confident and just egomaniacal about the situation. So such a great new piece of art, really fitting to the rivals, and that's what a lot of these are kind of. You know, we explore it. You know, you can have the alt art for something that really fits the rivals, but you'll see what we did with these here in a moment. I'm not going to scrape this time. Watch this. Boop.
You're my hero.
Do the bases, custom bases on the figures line up with the floor on the stand? Carefree Llama. Yeah, these bases fit here, and then this is a normal Marvel Crisis Protocol base. It's the same size. They fit right in there. Oh, and one of my bricks popped off. It's very Romita Jr. Yeah, it is. If only we had some John Romita Jr. art. Josh, Give me John Romita Jr. Josh knows my art once, actually. Josh knows who I want. So we're just going to darken this. A little more that umber. Oh, what were we going to talk about? Prepping for your first competition. My very first suggestion when you're prepping for your first painting competition. So let's say you're coming to Adepticon to participate in the Worthy, and you're going to paint. What are you going to paint for the Worthy? I mean, obviously you're going to paint Thor, right? It just makes sense. The very first thing I'm going to say is don't go expecting the win, right? No, they're just. I think Atomic Mass answered. I just looked up and they're just all alt art. They are not foil. Anyways, the very first thing I'd say is don't go to a competition with like, I'm going to win this. I got this. It's great to be confident and want to win. But to me, what I learned competing myself is the education that comes along is way more important, right? The feedback from judges. So if you come to a Worthy, I'm going to be one of the judges. And sitting down and asking me what you did and what I thought about it is the most valuable part of a competition. It's about the journey, not necessarily the destination. Like the win is beautiful, and that's what you want. You want that trophy, of course. We all want the trophy, but you have to take the path, and that's the philosophy of the Worthy. If you pay attention to the levels and the awards and what the setup is, it's all about that path and how we're all at different points on the same path, and we should be helping each other. So it's about growing and learning. It's about evolving and changing. It's about learning how to take feedback. It's about developing skills and knowledge over time. That to me is the biggest thing I learned competing is it's your art, it's your voice. And at the end of the day, I can't tell you it's wrong, but I can give you feedback to help make it better. Does that make sense? Did that make sense, Kevin?
I think that made a bit of sense.
A bit, thanks.
You're welcome.
Like we want to see everybody grow, and that's what the Worthy is set up to do, is to grow and develop those skills. We can all work together to make beautiful little pieces of art. Second thing goes back to what I was just saying about being a studio painter. Learn to build miniatures, right? Learn to build miniatures. Doing something for 20 years doesn't make you an expert if you haven't asked questions about why it didn't work before or why something didn't work. You gotta learn to build miniatures. And what I mean by that is, in a competition, no mold lines. Just no mold lines. Make sure everything is painted. you got to make sure everything is painted. Flipping a miniature upside down and seeing unpainted bits is not typically looked upon well in competition. The judges want to see everything painted. They want to see you fully giving everything to every element. And that's another thing, like giving everything to every element. If you do an amazing job, like just this beautiful metal work on Ultron, but his Ultron is only metal. Who's got multiple elements? Who would be a good? Oh, let's say Cable. All right, you did this beautiful job on Cable, and his energy shield is kind of halfway painted. Like that's part of him, and it shows that you didn't take the care and time into putting into that. Also, I can only judge what you present. So if you're not comfortable with freehand, don't do it. No freehand is better than bad freehand. Like you don't have to have freehand to make a competition miniature. You can only be judged by what you present. So if you present bad freehand, it will be judged. If you present no freehand and everything is perfect, that's better than no freehand. Like just plain and simple. All right, I feel very good about my browns. I got like a lot of staining on there. I love it. Let's go back to Spider-Man. Let's kick it back to Spider-Man. Nivea the coconut. Can you elaborate on what technique I'm using right now? The swapping of brushes. It's 2-brush blending, and this is the rough and dirty version. So I'm going to do a little 2-brush blending right here. So 2-brush blending is a blend technique. It takes practice to learn, but once you get it, it's such a powerful tool and provides a lot of speed. This took me a long time to learn. It's not a technique like washing, where kind of that first time you threw a black wash over silver on chainmail and you're like, oh my gosh, look at the contrast. I can see it so well. It's so awesome, right? It's what I call immediate technique, right? You immediately get effects. 2-brush blending is what I call a practice technique. It takes practice. It takes a lot of failing to get it, right? So let's try it out. So the idea is you take very, very, very thick paint. I like thick paint. We're way in the weeds on just philosophy of stuff now. On not just painting the Rivals panel, Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus. We're just all over the place. So I like very, very thick paint. The reason I like thick paint is you can always make paint thin, but you can't make paint thick. You can. There are ways to make paint thick. I just prefer thick paint because it's very easy to make thin paint. So you apply a blot of very thick paint. You take a separate brush that's clean and damp. And you drag it out over the surface, and that creates a gradient. That creates the blend. It should be clean and damp. A lot of people explain 2-brush blending wrong. A lot of people don't 2-brush blend what I consider the actual proper way. But it's all about pulling that gradient out like that. What I do is I'll do something lighter than this, and then you blend the second blend out not as far, and then the third blend not out as far. And that creates this massive gradient that every single layer underneath creates more variation. More variation creates more visual interest to the eye. It just creates more value. It just creates so much more to the eye than layering can. So it's a technique I truly love. it's a technique that's hard to master. But it's a technique that adds speed. So like when I'm doing this, dirt on the base, I'm literally doing just bad versions of two brush blending. I'm just kind of pushing the paint around. I mean, it's not even really two brush blending at that point, is it? What would you call this right there? I don't know. I don't like feathering as describing this. I feel like feathering is a very specific like way to I don't know. I don't know. Feathering's great. I'm not quite sold that that's feathering, but whatever. That blue looks really weird right there on that panel. All right, we were going back to Spider-Man. Does anybody know what we're doing anymore? Back to the red ink. There's a question up there. There's a question up there that I totally wanted to answer to, but I totally missed it. I don't remember where it even was now. You should totally practice it. It's all about practice. Everything is practice. And asking the questions of why it works or why it doesn't work. You know, doing something over and over again without changing the parameters, right? You have to reevaluate why something works or does not work. And then sometimes you have to be like, well, I think this works, and somebody else goes, I don't think it did, and you have to be like, well, why do you think that? Okay, let's explore that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it didn't work. Don't take it personally. Okay, we're just gonna... This is definitely a little more traditional, although that paint's very, very thin. This is what I consider more of a controlled wash. The paint's very, very thin. I'm dapping it in the shadows. I'm using that second brush to pull it out and over the element, the area I'm working, to create a bit of gradient. Just like that. I'm not going to rush this. Normally I rush on the paint streams because I'm like, I'm going to finish in an hour. I really enjoy helping show that you can paint quick and efficiently, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is the first time I got to actually paint the Rivals Spider-Man Doc Ock, so I think I'm being a little more cautious than I normally am. Oh, I missed a bunch of questions. Thanks for answering all these questions. You might have missed mine before. We paint and play. When you paint for play handling, do you bother? Yeah, I totally dull coat everything. Mainly because it makes my metals look better. I know that's probably counterintuitive. If you go back to the Ministravaganza 1 on YouTube, you can find videos I did called Metalosity. I think that's what we named it, because that's one of my just most favorite words. Where I talk about the philosophy of metallics, and I dull coat metallics to make them more metallic-y. If you look at metals in real life, where they go into shadow, they lose that metallic sheen. They lose, quote, quote, metallosity. So I like to replicate that with the dull coat, and then I come back with another layer of metal paint, like usually a very, very high silver. If you don't know what high silver is, it just means bright silver. Not up on level 63 silver. I usually come back with a high silver and reapply it to add more sheen or metallosity. So you should go check out those videos. But I definitely dull coat everything. I think it just makes the miniature look nicer as well. That's all personal preference. I'm also a firm believer in paint jobs are not forever, friends. You know, bad news, everyone. Paint gets chipped, paint gets worn off, and sometimes you gotta go back and you gotta re-up. So you kind of gotta go back and give your paint jobs a little more zazz or touch them up. That's just, to me, that's just part of owning miniatures. You know, I learned back in the 90s how to paint miniatures, and the old fellers that I was learning from definitely had that mentality of like, yeah, you know, sometimes the paint gets chipped and you go back and you fix it. That's who I learned from. And all right, I'm gonna let that dry. Oh man, we need to hold your blue. Here we go. Wow, there's so many questions. I'm totally painting and not paying attention. I'm the worst. Daz is painting with transparent ink, so this makes life easier. He's undershaded it with yellow to give him auto highlight. Yeah, it's the undershades and undertones. Monologuing, that's absolutely right. You create an undershade or an undertone and build up. The simplest thing to do is just take the color you want, red, darken it, and then lighten it with something. Yeah, that's typically the way to go, is mid-tone, then shade, then highlight. Here lately I've been playing with more like add in highlight and then build up my mid-tone and then my shade. You know, that's just the way I go. I could undershade with green or blue to deepen the shadows, but then I have to build up the highlights. Absolutely. So highlighting, let's talk about highlighting. So like highlighting a shoulder is a round area, right? And so imagine if I want the highlight right there, I got to highlight in 360. If I paint in this yellow highlight and then shade, people usually find shading easier to do than highlighting. What that does is you can push down into a crevice, right? An armpit or a knee or the underside of his pectoral, and then you pull out. So if you highlight and then shade with the mid-tone up to the appropriate level and then actually shade, it's a little quicker and easier and gives you the same effect. That's the way I've been working lately. I've been finding it interesting and different. I don't always do it, but I'm always changing the way I paint. I'll mix some green wash and hold your blue together. Does the black glove help see color contrast better? Ask Kumato333. The black glove is, we have black gloves in the office, and I was touching everything pretty heavily on that terrain bit, and I didn't want to get my my skin oils all over it. So see, this is going to be my mid-tone. So I'm going to blend that out over my green highlight. And I'm using the white to create the second highlight. So this gives me faster delivery on that green. So that's the highlight. And then I bring that mid-tone up over it. And that's that pre undertone, right? Flip him upside down. I can control how much or how little. I'm not looking at chat, and I know that that means you guys are asking all the questions. But I'm focused. Laser intensity on Octavius here. I'm going to get it all over his belt. Don't care. I'll go back and repaint the belt, so it doesn't matter. Pull that out, create the mid-tone. There we go. I don't think they understand how much I love this Doc Ock, Kevin. I don't think anybody can understand how much I love this Doc Ock. So now that's my mid-tone, and I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to put in an actual shadow. What's next? Let's put some metal. We're all over the place. I love it. Let's do some metallics on the terrain. Release the budgies. Have you ever gone through the sculpting process and decided that you wanted to start over completely? What brought you to that decision? No, not necessarily. There's always lessons you learn in the process. But starting over, I mean, that's just not an option. That's just not an option. Man, I knew it. I knew Schick took my brushes. Oh, just the worst. We don't have the option to start over. That's not entirely true. Been my favorite thing to sculpt? I don't pick favorites. Sorry. Does that make me the worst that I don't have favorites? Like, everything is unique and poses their own questions to grok and puzzles to explore. And I mean, me personally, I'm a fan of Marvel comics. I'm a fan of, every character. And so I get excited, like even if it's not something I've read a lot about, I still go and I read up on them, and because I can't read every single comic, obviously. And then I remember, like, this is somebody's favorite character, and I think that that's important. Schick uses the word stewards, like we're stewards of things. And I think that that's very important for us is, it's somebody's favorite character. It's somebody's got that poster and that t-shirt, and it's so, that makes it important. That makes each individual sculpt and miniature that we produce very, very important to me, right? I want each one to be the best they can be. I want each one to be the coolest they can be. Because somebody out there is waiting for that. And that's, I think, very vital to remember. You know, you don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be your favorite character, but remember, it could be somebody's favorite character. And it's important to let people love things. And I want to help make sure that whenever they see that character preview of the one character they've been waiting for, that they're like, oh, yes, that's what I've been waiting for, and that's awesome looking. That's exactly what I was expecting. Or maybe it wasn't what they're expecting. Like, you know, like I think Hulkbuster is such a great example of, I don't think anybody was expecting Hulkbuster to be flying through the air and a meteor punch. You know, I think if you would have asked me 5 years ago, you're doing a Hulkbuster sculpt, what do you do? I'd be like, well, he's on the ground, he's in a ready position, both feet firmly planted. But as we learned all these different lessons from other characters and learning the material of hard plastic and what can and can't be done, and you know, we're not even done learning. And honestly, there's more lessons coming that you all are going to see of that exploration and growth. And so being able to do the unexpected and explore these characters, it's such a, I hate to use the words honor and privilege, but you know, I truly feel that. It takes 24 months for a product to come out. For most of us, that is a head scratcher. Why is it a head scratcher? We can go through the process. Let's go through the process. So the very first thing is, usually we got a schedule, and the schedule has a list of names, and we go through that, and we all agree, and then we gotta get that list of names approved, right? And you know, we have a great relationship with Marvel, and we discuss what we're going to release, and they're like, dope. We're like, I know. They're like, what about this? And we're like, dope. We're like, dope. And then it's got to be concepted, right? And that's no easy feat, right? We go through and we talk about the pose. We talk about what costume, right? We work with the engineers. A lot of times I'll be drawing a pose and I'll send it to Marco, Evan, Corey, you know, Bexley. Like, am I just going to name all the engineers now?
Almost there.
I'm almost there. Alex, who did I miss?
You missed me, Alex.
But you're obvious. Kevin, Evan, Marco. Corey, Bexley, Alex. And I'll discuss like, okay, so I'm trying to do this. How crazy is it? And Marco will be like, you're a madman. And I'll show it to Schick, and Schick is like, can we do that? And I'll be like, I don't know. You know, and this isn't how every single one goes. Like, you know, Josh and Preston will come up with poses sometimes, and we'll go through them. Like, it's a whole committee. It's a whole process. We come up with the poses. And we got to talk to the engineers, right? We got to discuss what can we do, right? Like the Spider-Man, right? Like the Spider-Man the Rivals panel, that was discussed several times. Like, how do we do it? Can we do that twisty web? Like, how does that twisty web work, right? These are not easy and obvious things. Then you got to get a sculptor, and sculptors are booked out, right? You got to get a sculptor. You got to go through the sculpting process. You got to get the miniature sculpted. It's got to go through review processes. It's got to be looked at in multiple different stages. Then it's got to be engineered, and the engineering can take a long time, right? There's a lot of decisions and a lot of reasons why things are the way they are. Are you serious? We're 30 minutes. Okay. I thought you were like 3 minutes. I was like, what? What color am I using for? It's dark. It's thrash metal by Scale 75. And then the producing and transporting takes a long time. Like, even after all that work is done, transporting and producing takes a long time. It's a long, long time just to get it produced. Long story short, it takes a long time. There was a question. Do rules impact the sculpt? Not typically, JS. Not typically. Usually sculpt is further out, and I prefer to have the freedom to explore the miniature without rules constraining the miniature. Is typically how we work. And the rules are just, well, the miniature is just done or concepted and started long before the rules. And I'm just painting all this stuff steel. I think this band around here will look better steel too, just to frame it. Just do a little quick zip, 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 something like that. What other questions we got? Oh, I miss seeing it at Gen Con. Hopefully next year things will be in better shape. Hopefully we'll be out of the global pandemic. We miss seeing everybody at Gen Con. We miss seeing everybody. I'm going to make this sign metal as well. I'm not going to finish in 2 hours, am I? There's no way. Did anybody expect me to finish in 2 hours? I hope not. I think I've set precedents too much, though, on finishing quickly. What other questions? Carry 24 hours part of your launch for Crisis Protocol. That's dope. I remember. Oh man, I remember that weekend. You want to talk about excited? Like, my family didn't even know what my job was. Everything was so secret. It was great. And then we unleashed Crisis Protocol upon the world. That was a fun weekend. I think this is my favorite bit of this train. So like I said, this was not the first iteration of the Spider-Man Doc Ock Rivals pack. The first thing I concepted was a inside of a warehouse and like a car crashing through the wall and Ock and Spider-Man fighting. And for various reasons, we decided against it and wanted to try something different. And we explored some other ideas. And then this came about, and I just kind of fell in love with this. And I think Schick did as well. We just kind of love this idea. And drew this crane, right? It's like, okay, well, they're on floor 63, right? This is level 63. Homage to Dr. Octopus. And it's like, okay, well, how do we sell that height? How do we sell that, like, notion that this is way up? And I was like, okay, a crane, right? Like, you put a crane. So we drew that in and talked about with the engineers on how to go about this and stuff like that. So I really love this crane arm. I think it just helps sell that. Like, maybe sometime I'll make like a little sky backdrop for this. Something I've been thinking about for a long time is like a little blue sky backdrop with some clouds and some cities behind it. Look really cool, setting up on my bookshelf. Hunter Hero, thanks. Want to say thanks for the streams. Thanks for doing them. Ministravaganza is always awesome. Thanks for saying that. I feel like I owe you a song. That was last night. I'm not singing this morning. I got morning voice. I got day 2 of convention voice. What we love doing the streams, we love hanging out with the community and sharing all the fun stuff that we're working on. And there's more to come. Like, trust me. Day 1 was yesterday. Day 2 is today. Day 1 was awesome. Day 2 is going to be awesome. Like, you think we showed you everything? Not even close. Not even close. Spoilers, no spoilers. Little power box here. Be silver. Little pipes. Plans more clear plastic like wasp wings. Parts for magic effects. Nothing. We don't talk about future plans ever. That's how I get in trouble. But I think we can always explore those clear plastic. That was an interesting test. And there's some production like kinks to work out in that. But I enjoy the plastic, the clear plastic, and I think where it's appropriate, you may see more clear plastic. Oh, that underside of that I-beam was totally just got missed. Like a fool I was. If Dallas is giving you each a theme song. Everybody Atomic Mass? No, I haven't given everybody a theme song. Not yet. Now you gotta think of like the sort of like thematic, like what kind of song each person's theme song would be. Like, I think Kevin would get something thrashy. Like, he always pulls himself off as like all like calm and cool. Like, Kevin gets something like all. And then Chick is like an 80s, like an 80s, not sitcom, but like that sort of over dramatic action show, like late night, like 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like 2 cops, they're friends, but they're also not. And they're always solving crimes and working out in. That would be a shit kind of song. Where's Josh though? I think Josh is the hard one. Because Josh is so many things. He's a diverse man. Marco's the man of mystery. So his song is definitely like mysterious. But it has to be young and fresh. Because Marco's young and fresh. Simone's theme song is pleasant until you get to a point where she gets mad at you.
Come down a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Let's put some gray and blue together. We're going to base coat these spider webs. Yeah, I'm not a spoiler person. I'm tight-lipped. No spoilers out of me. You never know what the future will hold. We always got a plan up our sleeves, and we got big sleeves like a wizard. I've said that like 4 times today, haven't I? Remember, with those timelines, I'm living, the stuff I work on, I'm living way far in the future. Which miniature had the most changes from initial design to final product? I'd have to think about that. Yeah, Schick Vice tonight at 9. All right, what's next? Let's put some blue on Spider-Man. We'll let all that metal dry. Oh, see, VGM monologuing, that's Josh. He's a complicated man, but no one understands him but his woman. And his car. He's a dangerous man. He loves like no other. So we're going to do the exact same thing. On the blue, I'm going to lighten up some blue, and I'm going to glaze over the highlights here with this bright blue. I'm just going to block in these highlights. Spider-Man Sweet Pecs. He's got the eyes on the prize. He's coming at you live. He's Josh, the hero that we need. And the back. Like so. And this is just going over the white highlights. If it's in shadow, I'm not touching it. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, loud Tony. Rude. Did they pick that? Did the mic pick that up? Tony's just being loud in the hallway. Uncouth. Da, 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 da. Oh, we need another card. Which one? Let's do all webbed up. This guy. Somebody dropped this one, but I don't think you can quite tell. All webbed up new art card for the Rivals panel Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. Shows an awesome scene. Peter Parker, Miles Morales, and Ghost Spider swinging at you, all actiony. Really like this card. It's so vibrant, poppy. Really gets that comic book feel. And just 3 really fun of the Spider characters in full action. I love all the webbing effects coming at the viewer. So I thought this piece was very, very cool. I'm just going to go ahead and show the other one too. Why not? If I can get it off the table. Well-laid plans. So you got everybody now. We talked about him earlier, and that's why I saved those on the last. You got Spider-Punk. You got Spider-Ham. Ghost Spider, Miles Morales, Peter Parker, Doc Ock in the background, all coming out of an explosion. So you just got the multiverse just blasting out for well-laid plans. Another great piece of art, just nice and just super cool looking alt art for that, for this card. So very cool. And it's a different take on well-laid plans. Like, it doesn't have Goblin and Ock. It's focused on the spiders. So it's very cool. And if you joined late, here's the foil cards. We loved being able to explore these. Like I said, I wanted foil holographic gatefold embossed, but that didn't quite work out. So we got foil, and they look just gorgeous in real life. Wait till you get your hands on these. Super enjoyed those. I'm ready to put them in my collection. All right, now we're going to shade. Like I said, I'm using that preliminary blue as just a way to create the highlight. I'm coming in with that more primary blue, that very classic Marvel-y punchy blue to begin shading. I'm going to use that second brush to just kind of blend it up and over, letting it dissipate over the highest point of the musculature, right where I want the highlights to be. Lets me control where the highlights and shadows are instead of just, applying a wash and hoping for the best, right? This lets me be in control of it, and that's what makes art unique. My vision, not the vision, as in the character. Let's go to this side. And the other side of the arm. I know we're getting close to time. If you got questions, now's the time to ask them. I'll do my best, as long as you don't ask me to spoil things and get me in trouble. Creative director privileges only go so far. If you were watching last night, somebody asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much trouble would I get into if I showed my desk? I said 100. Because I would. Spider blue. What do we got? Are there anything interchangeable? I'm not sure what you mean by interchangeable. Any other pieces? No, there's no other pieces. No alternate heads or anything like that. The only thing I'm not shown is you can see them on the images. There's some barrels and I-beams that go on the train bit, and you kind of place them wherever you want. So I left them off for painting purposes. The barrels sculpted by Evan are some of my favorite barrels. They're like sci-fi barrels. And oh man, they are cool looking. Like, I just need a ton of those barrels just painted up. Put them in my cosmic terrain set. Because, you know, space oil drums, that totally works. Yeah, doing the cards justice in photographs is very, very difficult. Holograph is the foil is very hard to capture on photo. We'll see what we can do though. I think I want to punch this red just a little bit more. I want to do one more glaze of red. It's a little too wet. Well, we got 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 8. I like the attitude there. 8.
You're the one that wants more time.
I do. I've been painting for 2 hours, and I would totally paint for 2 hours more. Like, are you kidding? I love painting. My Spider-Man is feeling pretty good. I'm pretty happy with where he's at in the time. I'm just adding a little more punch of red here and there. Before I start shading and highlighting him. I still need to decide my alternate rival Spider-Man color scheme. We did yesterday in Tactical Rocks 101. We took the rival Spider-Man and we put him on a I-beam being thrown. So I need to decide on an alternate costume for this. Who knows? And pretty happy with his Doc Ock. Oh my Lanta, I cannot wait to put him on the table. Man, just I love this miniature. And feeling pretty good about the scenic bit, the level 63 high-rise construction. Super excited for that. Hollows are hard to capture. They looked awesome in the little sneak you gave. Yeah, I mean, they look amazing. They're just really, really hard to photograph. Another session this week. I'm excited about every session this weekend. Really, I just don't pick favorites. Oh, are we on this one?
Yeah, you want to.
Oh, do we want to? Well, let me see what we got. We got 5 minutes. Let's paint some more.
Let's paint some more.
I'm not done painting. It's a gorgeous Doc Ock. I just am in love with this Doc Ock. When we drew the pose, this was one of those ones like, okay, so a lot of times you kind of draw a pose and you show it to everybody and everybody's like, yeah, yeah, okay. And you go back and you iterate. You have a couple conversations. You stand up in the middle of the studio, and you everybody's like standing there and they're like posing. They're like, oh, the arm should twist like this. No, like move the trapezius like this. Like, no, twist the ankle. Yeah, like that. Like, this one was like more like you do it and everybody's like, yes, this is the way. This is what we're doing. Can we zoom in on the miniature? Are we in focus?
Yeah, focus looks good.
Focus looks good.
Move it off center though. Come left.
Look at him. Look at him. He's so awesome. But like I said, this is a lot of learning to get to this point. And he's very sturdy. You want that little bit of flex, right? Just like a bridge. Bridges have to flex or they snap. Like you want that little bit of flex. But he's very sturdy and is just going to look amazing on the table. Same way with our Spider-Man here. This is like an engineering feat. Like, so like the way this hand is twisted for a reason, and this hand is twisted for a reason, and then the head is twisted for a reason. Everything about this is very specific to the drafting. Marco worked with the sculptor Javier on this, and this Spider-Man is in 3 parts, not counting the base. Is that right? Am I right? Is it 3 parts? I think it's 3 parts. Let's take it. Yeah, 3 parts. Head, body, leg. So a lot of lessons learned there and getting to this. Now, any like movement of this pose breaks it and makes you have to cut it up. Got you 3 minutes. Makes you have to cut it into another part. So every position of every little thing changes. If this hand was flipped like this, we could not. The arm would have to come off, right? If you right now it's like this. If you twist it like that, even just ever so slightly, like I think that if I remember correctly, that is the maximum twist with leaving that hand on. Any more one way or another cuts the arm off, right? So it's engineering is a very interesting aspect to this job. I'll pull back just a little bit. We got what? 3 minutes still? That was the fastest non-1 minute ever. I want to thin down some yellow. Poses are amazing. Thank you very much, Mad Viola. Dur Wildstar, glad you started giving Spider-Man webs as part of sculpture. Are you talking about like the actual webs? Yeah, this is fun. There's the full 360. Yeah, that little bit of web adds to, the first Spider-Man, the core box, remember the core box was a core box. It was the first go, first iterations, a lot of lessons being learned. This one, the web adds to that momentum and movement and that kinetic feel of what Spider-Man is. 1 minute. And there's the Rivals Spider-Man on a regular MCP base. All right, let's kick it over to the face cam, and I'm going to tell everybody goodbye. Whoop. Are we there? We're there. So that was a preview of the Rivals panel, Spider-Man versus Doc Ock. Look for this very soon. Very soon. I don't have a ETA. Sorry. And welcome to day 2 of Ministravaganza. We went over some painting, we went over some Spider-Man, we went over some cool cards. Remember, these are foil cards. They look very cool. Wait till you get these in person. They look gorgeous. Get ready for next up on Ministravaganza itinerary is Boots on the Ground. Join Will Pagani and Michael Plummer as they play a game. So we're going to kick it off in just a few seconds. We got less than a minute. That's it. We're done. We're out.